The new Resident Evil has come out and it has marinated in the community for a while, so I think it's time to say that this game was really good. I quite enjoyed watching it. And yeah, I just finished watching like a whole playthrough of this game because I'm a poor soul with no bang to my buck. I have no money. I'm not ready to fork over 60 to 70 pounds. But I can already tell that this game is a competitor for Game of the Year. If like this game wasn't coming out as well. But I think Capcom really hit the nail in the coffin for the audience reception because this game was it was pretty good, and I'm pretty sure at the time of this video, it just surpassed 5 million downloads, which in this day and age is absolutely insane. And I think they really do deserve it because this game as a whole was such a fun watch, and probably a fun play as well if I ever get the chance to do that. With returning characters and a fresh new protagonist, which I didn't think was felt like really sidelined with the star of the show of Leon, which I was fully expecting by the way for like Leon to like steal the show in the spotlight. But no, it was a pretty fair balance between the two of Grace and Leon, which I quite enjoyed. I also like the duality between the two gameplays of Grace's being like very liminal and horror focused, and her voice actor was on her game. Like half the time, I actually believe they're like full on torturing her just to get those like vocals out. And then Leon's side, well, I mean, no explanation needed for that. That shit was insane. But overall, I think that Requiem did what most AAA games like kind of just missed the mark on, which is like reconnecting with the fan base, which is one part. And also, there were just many like Easter eggs and like homages to like, the previous Resident Evils, which I mean, you're supposed to do for games like these, but it didn't like feel like really forced, which I think some games have kind of just struggle with. And it didn't like feel like a cash grab in a way. It was also quite cool to see like, for example, Zeno or Zeno, whatever, being like a clone of Wesker. That made sense, it didn't like feel like we had to bring Wesker back just for the money, and it just like felt natural in the way they were doing it. And going back to like RPD, for example, that made sense because like Leon had a mission to go there, he had a reason to go there. Not like we know you like this place, so we brought it back with no plot points. And plus, it was nice to see the place after the missile strike, and create some sort of incentive to go back. The story as well was quite nicely written out. It was quite thought out, and it didn't feel too rushed and lost at those times. It had a clear focus, which I think most games nowadays struggle to balance with. And like a perfect example of this was Spider-Man 2, which I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, but when I first played that game, I knew there was something up with the thing. Like it was 15 hours long. That's how long my gameplay was. It was way too rushed, in my opinion. And there's like a lot of stuff they wanted to put in there, which I understand balancing two characters at the same time, which was Peter and Miles. And yeah, no, Peter was way more favored than Miles in the other one. Miles got the less exciting stuff and all that. And the symbiote, we didn't get have much time with that and all that. But with Resident Evil 9, both Grace and Leon had their fair share of screen time. I think it was quite balanced nicely. Leon wasn't favored more, which, I was totally expecting, I said before. And it just made a lot of sense, the very finale with Elpis and all that, and Grace being the kind of the savior as well. That was quite nice. I quite liked that. The gameplay as well was pretty good as well, seeing from both POVs, especially Grace's, which captures the first person horror experience very nicely. And then Leon's just being that fast-paced, action-packed, like gunslinging part. It was pretty cool to see. And they're just complete opposites, but it works so nicely. And well, I mean that's all I really have to say.